Today's guest might be the first guest I ever saw share their journey to becoming fathers on YouTube, and that is McHusbands, Erik and Adam. Hi, husbands. Hi.
Hello.
It's so nice.
How are you?
We're good. We have a guest.
We have a guest, and he
And
will
turtle.
he will behave himself, and it'll be good.
What do you need? Oh, glasses.
All right.
Well, it's so nice to meet you guys. I feel like I know you so well. I followed your content for so long. You guys have really, I feel like we're way ahead in like creating a social media following as two gay dads, a two dad family with your twins. You have twin girls. They're 5 years old. Tell us their names.
Addison and Everest.
Ooh, I love that.
That's so cute. How did you come up with those names?
Well, it all started we were wanting to do A&E names to kind of go with ours, to be like A&E. So we have, it's a lot.
We put a lot of thought
into it, but
probably too much. But
basically the way we say each other, I love you to each other when we're like out in public or when we can't hear or when we're far away from each other, we usually hold up like 3 fingers or say 3 to each other. And that means I love you, which is our way of saying it, like when we can't. And so the number 3 kind of always comes up in our lives and has since we've dated. And so we were like, 3 syllables. Yeah. Make it even more difficult for us.
yeah,
And then we came up with Addison first. We really like that name.
we had Addison like maybe 5-6 months into us
Into dating.
dating. I have a note on my phone.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, we had that one forever. And so then, because we eventually did surrogacy as our journey to become dads. And we kind of wanted the A and E in their names for like DNA type, so they would have like some DNA in their name, and then to have love in their name, so the 3 syllables. And then we wanted like strong, kind of like universal.
So creative. I love it. So creative.
But it's that like because we put so many like limitations, like has to be 3 syllables, has to start with this letter. It was actually kind of hard to think of names
That we like.
That
we were like,
So
And then Everest came from, strong. We just wanted a strong name. So we were like, the tallest mountain in the world. I mean, Everest, you can't get stronger than that and more powerful. And once we found Everest, we were like, oh yeah, that's an awesome name.
How did their personalities match their names? Pretty close?
Pretty close, yeah.
And I think because we always had planned on naming the firstborn Everest because Erik's older out of us 2. And so, but like if they were switched, that it would be weird. I don't think they would fit their names.
Yeah.
So their names fit perfectly to us. So it all worked out. But, yeah.
And how many minutes apart are they?
2.
2?
Yeah. And they came naturally, no C-section.
Wow.
So, they wheeled her off, and, it was like she was in labor for like 30-something hours. And then once she got into the room, they came out within like 15 minutes.
Did she have an epidural? I know this is personal, but did she have an epidural?
She did.
Okay. Wow, that's a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And she went natural birth. She was pushing for it. And then, Addison came out breached. So, she had to come out booty first, basically. But yeah, like 20 minutes later, we had them in our arms, which was
Oh, that
happened
video.
so quick.
That video is
Got
so
there.
special. I just love watching that video of y'all meeting them.
Like,
We watch it back all the time.
waiting in that waiting room was oof. Like so many emotions before you meet your kid. It's just like, oh god, like it's crazy.
Oh wow! So your kids are 5 now. They started school this year.
Yes.
We were talking like right before. So now you both mentioned like you feel like you actually have time to like to yourselves a little bit after all these years.
A little bit.
Do you both work? Like, what are you balancing besides parenthood?
So I've been the one that's pretty much full-time work. When we first found out that we were pregnant, I actually didn't have a job at the time. Like I had been working a 9-to-5 for a long time, and it was a toxic place. So I got out of that, and I was a freelance hairstylist. And so I decided to do that just because wanted to be with the girls as much as possible. So did that, and then when we moved to Tucson, I was working full time, and then the pandemic hit, and then I've been remote ever since. So I've been at home, so that was nice. But Adam, since the girls have been born, pretty much has been the stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
And we haven't had a nanny, haven't had babysitters, haven't had parents come out too much, but
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
What's the key, Adam? What's the key
Yeah.
to like not losing your sanity when you're full time?
I don't know how we did it.
I think it depends on the person. Everybody has their own kind of escape, I guess. And for me, I would probably say like music is my escape. So I would just always have like pop music to give myself a moment of like, and it's like, I think it was weird for me because I had never really been around kids. I never thought kids would be in my future. I had never like held a baby before our girls, and I didn't do any research before the kids were born. Yeah, so it was a lifestyle
You
change.
kind
for
of
me,
dove
for
right
sure.
in. You just dove right in.
Oh yeah, and Erik did the opposite. He like did research, and I was like, I'm just gonna trust my instincts. Hopefully, they're somewhat adequate. Like I had no idea what I was doing, but I guess you learn quick when you don't really have another option, and so yeah. But
Instincts.
yeah, we were fortunate enough that
instincts.
I was able to just be a stay-at-home dad pretty much the whole time. So
How did those two roles for you kind of change your relationship with each other? Like you being the stay-at-home dad and you going to work and, being away. How did that change your relationship with each other, if it did?
I don't know if it did, just
I don't
because
think it did.
I wasn't really. I had like a few off like retail jobs when we were first dating, but I wasn't really ever like career guy type of thing. Because I think at the very start of us dating, I was just focusing on music and being a pop star and la la la. And then I did some like side retail stuff, and so I never had like a 9 to 5. I don't think ever. So I guess we didn't have too much of a change in our roles when the born, because
yeah. I mean, it was hard for me to be away from the girls when they were so young. I think that was the hardest part, but relationship-wise, I don't think anything changed. But it was just, he would do his best to send me pictures and everything, and I got used to it, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But when we came back from the pandemic, I remember having to go back into work at that job that I was working at that time 2 to 3 times a week, and being with them all the time and then not. It was almost worse when finally we were going back after being home for so long. It was like, okay, I need to find a remote job. I need to, be here and spend as much time with them as possible.
What did the girls call each of you? Dada, Papa?
Daddy,
and then
Daddy.
Daddy. So we used the whole like initial thing. So,
well, because we didn't want Papa because my stepdad is Papa. Father just seemed a little too poised, and Dad was a little too.
Daddy would like fit you, and then ended up being your initial. But I think for me, because I'm like such a big kid at heart, everything else sounded old to me, and I was like, I don't want to be like anything that sounds old, and so I was like, how about Daddy? And it kind of sounds British, maybe. I love that. But it ended up working, and surprisingly, like they didn't really have any issues, and from the get-go, kind of it's always been like Daddy, and
it's really other easy. People who have the issues, right? Because it's hard to get used to, like parents have always been like, Daddy, wait, what? So the girls got it though.
Yeah. And what, do you live close to your family, and do they help? And what is your relationship like now with your parents now that you have kids? Has it changed? Has it gotten better or worse?
Lots of loaded questions there. No, we're open. Like we're as honest and open as possible. But our parents don't live nearby. My mom's in Texas, and his parents are both in Missouri. And then my dad is actually in Temecula, which is pretty close to us. I mean, it's like an hour and a half, but believe it or not, he has not seen the girls since the day they were born. So it's interesting. Some things I don't understand, but we work with what we got, and you know, one of my brothers is in New Mexico, and then the other brother is in San Diego. So yeah,
Yeah, and I have a brother that's been in Long Beach, but I think a lot of people, like a lot of LGBTQ people, can relate to sometimes your born family isn't necessarily like they don't feel like family sometimes, or they don't treat you like a family should, I guess. So yeah, even with them kind of close, we haven't seen them too much. But as far as our parents, like, because I grew up in Missouri, so very much like Bible Belt, religion, left and right, like that's what I grew up with. And so, yeah, I was never necessarily like super close to my parents. And then having kids, I think the dynamic changed slightly, but yeah, I guess because you have young humans that you want to parent your way, and then your parents parented you a certain way, and you like took notes from them of what not to do or what you want to do as a parent, I guess. And so yeah, it's so odd when you bring a little human into the world. It's like, yeah,
it brings you closer, but then at times it kind of pushes you away a little bit. It's just it's a very strange thing, because people, they want what's best for you, and so they think what they know is best for you, so they try to implement that onto you, and in doing so is really like pushing us away more. So it's been a little push and pull.
Yeah, like I talk to my parents more because they want to like hear up to the girls and talk to the girls, but then all we talk about is girls type of thing. So it's weird. Yeah.
It's like that's so validating to hear you say that, because I feel like we meet other families, usually heterosexual families, and we're like, did you have issues with your like parents when you became a parent? And they're like, no, it's fine, they're
good.
Great.
Yeah.
And we're like,
I'm always like,
oh, just us, got it, okay. Like, it's
not just
it just changes like how I don't want to repeat generational things, and it's interesting.
And then I guess like along those lines, what would you say your parenting style is like, or is there a certain kind of method or ideology that you kind of tried to follow, or really like and love, and that you would suggest that other people kind of look at? Or
yeah, when we first found out that we were pregnant and having babies, and not us, of course, and even the first like couple months, we really were looking into, or I was looking into, the RIE method. So it's fantastic, and it just made sense for me, because they don't know much, and so they're kind of just trusting you that you're going to do everything for them. And so talking them through everything, letting them know what they're going to do, letting them know what's ahead, saying, this is a spoon, and then I'm going to put it in the oatmeal, and then I'm going to feed you. Are you ready? And so nothing is a surprise to them. It's not like all of a sudden like, oh geez, you took my diaper off and you're wiping me. What's going on? Like telling them like what's happening. And I think
we love the RIE Method.
Yeah, we're trying to do it as closely as we can.
It's been awesome. That's
yeah.
And it's surprised more people don't know about it. You know what I mean?
I found out through one of my clients, and their parenting style is incredible. It was Maddie with Karen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right, yeah.
And and she at the time was 19, and she had like this great head on her shoulders, and she was moving to New York by herself. And I was just like, gosh, you did so well with her. What was it? And then they mentioned that and sent me all the material, and
yeah. And people
it's really
are like, there's
great.
no handbook for parenting. I'm like, actually, there's one called the RIE Method. What is? Do you have? Okay, I'm very curious. What inspired you to start the McHusbands account? Because it's really, and maybe it's what we've been talking about with the family stuff, just trying to be more visible. But I'm very curious. What inspired you to start McHusbands, and then how do you continue to maintain that, and communicate it with your kids, that we're a public family on YouTube or, everywhere.
Yeah.
What started McHusbands was, I think, at the very beginning of our parenting journey, because I think we had initially started with an adoption agency, and then in the middle of our process with that, his sister-in-law approached us to be our surrogate. So that fell out and we started surrogacy. But in our research of looking at parenting, especially like LGBTQ and gay parents, we didn't find much at all on YouTube of like a
Nothing.
step-by-step every part of the journey documentation. And I guess for me, I'm not much of a reader. I'm like a visual learner, so I wanted like videos and stuff like that. And yeah, we didn't really find anything, and so we were like, how about we document from the very beginning to the very end of the whole like surrogacy journey, because we're really curious, but we don't really have anything to look up. So let us be that for other people, I guess. And yeah, and then it kind of snowballed into something that we never expected. Like the birth vlog went crazy viral, and then we just kept it up because of the community, I guess, that we built. And I guess especially with people that might not have like super close relationships with their family, it felt really amazing to have a community that we felt so much support from. So I think that's kind of what drives us to continue to do it. And as far as like nowadays with the girls being older, I don't really know if they get the whole like platform, like the size of the platform and this different social media type stuff. They just know that we're like making a video and sharing it type of thing. But I don't know if they really get to the extent, but we always ask them. We never like force them in videos or anything, but we're like, do you want to help us with the video? Do you want to be in it today? And they're all really excited about doing it with us. So,
and it wasn't always that way. Everest was very standoffish as far as like pictures and video.
Yeah.
And we would listen to her. We would say, okay, great. And then of course we got feedback saying, oh, you're playing favorites. Why do we never see you love Addison more than you love Everest, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, no, you just don't see her because she doesn't want to. So, but yeah, we definitely put it in their court if they want to as well.
No.
But Addison's already talking about wanting her own makeup YouTube channel. So yeah. We'll see how it goes.
So are there any what I call gay dads in public stories that you have, like you've been in public and there's been a weird reaction? Or I'm very curious to hear from other parents if they've ever been in a situation. I mean, or my other question is like, or what's the most common questions you get from strangers when you're out with your kids?
Yeah. When we're out, we don't get a lot of people just coming up to us and talking, but we get the like, especially when we're out for dinner. Okay, so when we go out for dinner, we oftentimes have other tables come up to us and say, oh, wow, I just want to let you know that you've done such a great job with these. And we just want to compliment you because your girls are so well behaved. So really good job, dads. And I know that happens sometimes with straight couples, but the intention for us, you can tell. It's just the way they say it, the way they approach you, the way that they talk about it. It's definitely like, oh, two dads over there, let's watch them. And we can kind of feel eyes on us when we're out. More so in Tucson, less so here.
I was going to say, yeah, California doesn't really have too much of that. I mean, people will look, but it was Tucson and it was majority, I would say, like older women would come up to us during our mealtime and approach us and say their opinions. We're like, okay, great, thanks.
Feel like they could touch.
Because
they try to touch it. I'm like, I don't.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, the touching. I'm like, I don't even let my mom touch her before she washes her hands. Like, God, like
pandemic, like, come on.
Oh,
I remember there was one time in like Home Depot that some lady came up and like touched maybe their hand or something like that. Yeah. And I immediately like got the stroller, walked away and said loudly, like, okay, she's a stranger, get away from her. Like,
Or the blanket over the stroller, they would come up and they would
yeah.
pull it down, and I'm like,
too.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
They're sleeping.
It's
God.
ridiculous.
And Steven was like, "Excuse me," and she slapped his hand.
And
This
she was like,
woman.
"Oh, you're serious?" I was like, "Yeah, my son's trying to sleep. Please do not."
Oh my.
I don't
The
understand
entitlement
that.
of some people blows my mind. I'm like, really?
But yeah, but in person, I think people are a little more apprehensive to come up to you and say things, at least for us. But online, good Lord, they have no filter.
No.
We've gotten everything from people online. I mean, the most common question that we get there is, where's the mother? Poor child, like all of those. So that's the biggest thing that we get. But we've gotten everything under the sun. We've gotten like called all the names, and we've
Mhm.
even gotten, people saying that they're going to come over and shoot us up. And so we're
Death
very,
threats,
very
yeah.
cautious as to like putting things out of any kind of thing you can recognize as to where we live, or where we might be in that moment. We do outfit of the days for the girls, and we make sure we post it like towards the end of the day or even the next day, so people won't look for them in those clothes type thing. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is,
Feel like
so
how do you handle like the negative? I mean, do you just ignore it? I mean, obviously the safety things you explained, but does it affect you, or does it just give you more reason to keep doing what you're doing?
I would say that,
it gives us more reason to do what we're doing.
yeah, especially
For
when we
sure.
get comments like, they need a mother. Then we're like, okay, so we're just we'll post more to, like, out of spite, and then we'll post more just to prove you wrong, because, like, clearly they don't. They're alive and healthy and, like, kind people. So,
And there's people who don't have moms.
yeah,
It happened for
single dad. It's just like, the thinking. But
in the beginning, we ignored them. We said, we're not having any negative comments, because one day the girls are going to be watching this, maybe, hopefully. Depends if we keep it up or whatever. But they're going to watch us. They're going to read through the comments. So let's delete everything. So we were on top of it every single time anything came through, delete. And then YouTube took our comments away.
Time job though, because you guys are so
You have so many
so
followers.
much. Yeah, you have so much going on that you must get a ton of comments in general. So that sounds like a lot to do.
yeah, and
It
I think
was.
from the get-go too,
It was.
I've always been someone that didn't want to ignore. I know that so many people say don't read the comments, but I did, all of them. So, and I guess that might have helped me get a thicker skin too. And I think now, doing social media for like 4, 5, 6 years now, it's just like comical now when people post hate comments. It's like, great, you're spending time out of your day and energy on us. Like, clearly your life ain't that, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Totally.
we'll take it now, but yeah.
But I'm sure you guys get the same thing.
Engagement. You're like, thank you for
Yeah.
the engagement. Yeah.
Yeah. You're pushing our video a little more. Thank you.
Was there anything else you guys want to share or talk? I would love just as we sign off, because this guy's going to need a nap soon.
Wait, I have a question. Can I interrupt you?
Oh, he's interrupting me.
Just, I want to interrupt you. So, because your girls are 5, our son is about to be 10 months in a couple weeks. What is like one piece of advice you would tell us, or you would tell yourselves looking back at fathers of 10-month-old girls? Like, what's one thing you would tell yourself then that you didn't know then that you know now?
That
It's
question.
a really
Was I clear? Sometimes I think I'm just like rambling.
because there's a lot of things. So I'm like, God, what would I tell myself now? I would tell myself that not everything is as important as you think it is in the moment. As far as like, just like little things would set me off and like either upset me in either a sad way or a happy, like I wasn't patient. I used to not be very patient. Fatherhood has definitely made me learn patience. So I'll take that. And I've noticed a big difference, especially over the last like year or two, for me. But I would say don't let things affect you that much. Like people have opinions, and people, will say certain things and want you to do certain things. And as long as that little guy's happy and smiley, and he's safe and he's protected, like that's all that matters. And I don't think you should be, because sometimes some things would affect you a little bit, like little things, like there's not intention behind it, but then you still feel that way because we're a little more protective because we're LGBTQ, fathers, and like we always kind of have our guard up because we're always a kind of like, what are other people out to get or whatever. And I think people have surprised me more for the good than the bad.
That's nice to
That's
hear.
great to hear. Yeah.
I think I would tell myself maybe take naps when the girls take naps, because I never did, because I was always fearful that I needed to be awake in case something happened. But like 9 times out of 10, they just napped, and I'd be less sleep deprived than I am now if I had done that.
Or
So-
like, ooh, we can watch our show really quick, or watch RuPaul's Drag Race because we can't watch it while the shows are up. Like,
I can work out. Right?
I can work out. I'm doing laundry. I'm cleaning the kitchen. That's
take a nap.
And like I would say probably like be more strict about like couple time,
Yes.
like date night, like
yes.
that would be the other thing.
Yeah.
But
because we said we didn't need it. We were like, oh, we're fine. And then I remember about 2.5 years, they were like 2.5, and we went out and we were like we kindled a spark, and we were like, we haven't done this in like a year. What are we doing? Like we need to do this more.
It was like a date night every year, and every time we had a date night, it'd be like, so how do we do this? Like what is the date night again? Like what did we do?
Yeah.
This was such a treat getting to talk to you guys. We gotta go get this guy down for a nap because he's getting ornery. But this was so inspiring to feel like I feel so connected to everything you said.
Yeah.
And you're so inspiring in everything you do and your content. Your kids are beautiful.
Thank you.
Whoever that stranger was, they're correct.
They're right.
You're doing the right
Yes.
thing. You're doing good job.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
we'll
I'm glad we're finally connected, and I hope this continues. And
Yeah.
hey,
Woohoo! We hope you enjoyed our interview with Erik and Adam, the McHusbands.
And if you loved this interview, make sure you subscribe down below, give us a like, share this with someone who might want to learn a little bit more about what the experience is of a two-dad family. And of course, leave a comment. Let us know what more you want to see on this channel. We love to get to know who's watching us. We'll see you in the next video.
Bye, husband.